always thought I knew who I was. My name, my family, my childhood, all of it felt so ordinary that I never had any reason to question it. I was 18, fresh out of high school, eager for the freedom of adulthood, but everything I thought I knew about myself shattered the night I walked into a stranger's house and found my baby photos staring back at me from their mantle. It started with something so simple. My friend Mason had just gotten his first car, a beat-up old Honda with a dent in the side door. We'd been driving around town late at night, celebrating our newfound independence, when he suggested we explore some of the older neighborhoods. "There's this one street," he said, grinning. "Creepy as hell. Big old houses, half of them abandoned. Perfect place to check out." I should have said no. I've always had this gut instinct about certain things, and that night, it was screaming at me to stay home. But I didn't want to look like a coward, especially not in front of Mason. So I agreed. We parked at the edge of the neighborhood just after midnight, the summer air heavy and still. The houses loomed over us, their windows like dark, empty eyes. We picked one at random, a tall Victorian-style house with peeling paint and ivy creeping up the sides. The front gate hung loose, creaking when we pushed it open. Mason was buzzing with excitement, filming everything on his phone like it was some kind of urban exploration video. Inside, the air smelled of dust and something faintly sweet, almost rotten. The floorboards groaned beneath our weight as we made our way through the front hallway. Old wallpaper peeled from the walls and a chandelier hung crookedly from the ceiling. I wasn't paying much attention until we reached the living room. Mason swung his flashlight across the mantel, and that's when I froze. There, in a frame that looked far too clean for the dusty room it sat in, was a photograph. Not just any photograph. A baby. Chubby cheeks. Dark eyes. A familiar birthmark just above the right eyebrow. Me. It was me. I felt my knees buckle as I stumbled forward, snatching the frame off the mantel. The photo was unmistakable. I'd seen it countless times in my own home, tucked away in albums my mom kept on the bookshelf. The same outfit, the same blanket, the same slight smudge on the corner of the picture. But this copy wasn't in my house. It was here. Mason noticed my shaking hands. "Dude, what's wrong?" I couldn't answer. My throat had closed up, and my mind was a swirl of panic. I turned the frame over, half expecting a name or a date on the back, but it was blank. Just cardboard backing and rusted metal clips. "Isn't that you?" Mason finally asked, his voice low. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say it was just a coincidence, that lots of babies looked alike. But the truth stared me right in the face. Undeniable. It was me. And then, as Mason's flashlight scanned the shelves, I saw more. An entire row of photos. Some were baby pictures. Some were toddler shots. One was of me, at maybe 5 years old, grinning with missing front teeth, wearing the same Spider-Man t-shirt I'd once begged my mom to let me wear to school every single day. I felt my skin go cold. I reached for another frame, and another, and another. Each one was me at different ages, up until around 9 or 10 years old. Photos I'd never seen before. "How the hell?" Mason whispered. I couldn't breathe. Why would a stranger have my pictures? I stumbled backward, my stomach churning. That's when we heard it. A floorboard creaking upstairs. Mason killed the flashlight instantly. The house went pitch black, and my pulse hammered in my ears. Someone else was here. We pressed against the wall, listening. Slow, deliberate footsteps descended the stairs. My grip tightened on the photo still in my hand. My body screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The figure appeared at the bottom of the staircase. A man, tall and thin, his face shadowed in the darkness. He didn't say a word, just stood there, staring at us. Mason muttered, "We should go." But I couldn't move. My eyes were locked on the man, and in the faint glow of moonlight through the broken windows, I saw it. In his hand, he held another photograph. Of me. He spoke finally, his voice low and gravelly. "You shouldn't be here." Mason grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the door. I barely registered what was happening until we were outside, sprinting back to the car. My lungs burned, and my hands shook so violently I dropped the photo I'd taken somewhere along the way. We didn't stop driving until we were back in my driveway. Mason killed the engine, and the silence was deafening. He turned to me, eyes wide. "What the hell was that, man? Why does some random dude have pictures of you?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the man at the bottom of the stairs, clutching my photograph like it belonged to him. And in a way, it seemed like it did. The next morning, I confronted my mom. I sat her down at the kitchen table, my voice shaking. "Mom, why would a stranger have pictures of me as a baby?" She froze. I'd never seen her face go that pale, that quickly. "Where did you see that?" she whispered. I told her everything. The house, the photos, the man. She covered her mouth with her hands, tears welling up in her eyes. "Mom," I pressed, "what's going on? Why would he have them?" She didn't answer right away. She just sat there, trembling, until finally she whispered words that made my stomach drop to the floor. "Because he's not a stranger." I stared at her, waiting for her to explain, but she just kept crying silently, like she'd finally been caught in a lie she'd been keeping my whole life. Her words felt like ice down my spine. He's not a stranger. I leaned forward, across the table, my voice rising. What do you mean he's not a stranger? Who is he? Why does he have my photos? Mom's hands shook as she tried to compose herself. I never wanted you to find out this way, she whispered. I thought I had more time. More time for what? My voice cracked. For lying to me? Her tears spilled over. You were just a baby. You don't understand the choices I had to make. I slammed my fist on the table, the sound sharp in the quiet kitchen. Then make me understand. For a long moment, she just sat there, trembling. Finally, she took a deep breath. That man you saw, his name is David, and he's your biological father. The air seemed to vanish from the room. My ears rang. I couldn't process the words. What? She nodded miserably. When I was young, before I met your dad, I was with him. Things were complicated, and when I got pregnant, he said he wasn't ready to be a father. He wanted me to give you up. I shook my head, pushing back from the table. That doesn't make sense. Why would he have my photos then? Why would he have pictures of me at different ages if he didn't want me? Her voice cracked. Because he didn't let go. Even after we separated, he found ways to keep tabs on us. He showed up at the hospital after you were born. He would send letters, gifts, sometimes money. I told him to stay away, but he never really did. And when I married your dad, I promised myself I would cut him off completely. I didn't want him in your life. I thought he was gone for good. My chest felt tight. Gone for good? Mom, he lives in a house 15 minutes away from us, and he has my entire childhood plastered on his walls like some kind of shrine. Her sobs deepened. I didn't know he was still around. I swear, I didn't. I pushed away from the table, pacing across the kitchen. My whole world was unraveling. The man I thought was my father, kind, quiet, dependable, suddenly wasn't my blood. And this stranger, this man with the shadowed face and the photos, was? I want the truth, I demanded, turning on her. All of it. No more half answers. Why did you hide this from me? Her lips trembled. Because I was scared. Scared he would take you from me. Scared you'd want to know him. Scared of what you'd think of me. I swallowed hard, anger boiling inside me. You should have trusted me with the truth. Instead, I had to find out in the creepiest way possible. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the sound of the fridge humming. When my dad came home that evening, I confronted him too. Did you know? I asked, my voice sharp. He froze in the doorway, grocery bags in hand. His eyes darted to Mom, then back to me. That hesitation was enough. You knew, I said bitterly. He set the bags down, his shoulders sagging. I knew, he admitted, but I raised you. I'm your father in every way that matters. Except biologically, I shot back. He winced like I'd struck him. Blood doesn't make a family, love does. And I've loved you every single day of your life. His words should have comforted me, but all I felt was betrayal. They'd both lied. For 18 years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the man's face in the shadows, the way he clutched my photo like it was precious to him. If he hadn't wanted me, why keep all those pictures? Why track me for years? And why did my mom look so terrified when I mentioned his name? The next day, I made a decision. I had to confront him. Mason tried to talk me out of it when I told him, Bro, that guy was seriously creepy. You really think it's a good idea to go back there? I don't have a choice, I said firmly. If I don't get answers, this will eat me alive. So we drove back to the neighborhood. The house loomed just as eerie in the daylight, its paint chipped and its windows clouded with grime. My stomach churned, but I forced myself up the front steps. I knocked. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the door creaked open, and there he was. David. Up close, his face was sharper than I remembered. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, a day's worth of stubble. He looked me up and down like he'd been expecting me. I knew you'd come back, he said softly. I swallowed hard. Why do you have pictures of me? A faint smile touched his lips. Because you're my son. The words, spoken aloud by him, sent a chill down my spine. I wanted to scream, to deny it, but the truth was already unraveling in front of me. You gave me up, I said bitterly. Why pretend to care? His eyes darkened. Your mother told you that, didn't she? That I didn't want you. That I walked away. But that's not the truth. My heart pounded. Then what is the truth? He stepped aside, gesturing for me to come in. Against my better judgment, I did. The living room looked less dusty in daylight, but the photos on the mantel gleamed like trophies. My whole childhood, displayed like a collection. He picked up one of the frames, running his fingers across the glass. Your mother took you from me, he said quietly. I wanted to raise you, but she wouldn't let me. She told lies. She made sure I was shut out. That's not what she said, I whispered. His gaze snapped to mine, piercing and sharp. And you believe her? After she lied to you for 18 years? The words hit harder than I expected. He wasn't wrong. She had lied. I shook my head, trying to clear it. Even if that's true, why stalk me? Why keep all these pictures? His smile was sad. Because you're the only good thing I ever made. You're proof that I exist. Proof that I mattered. My skin prickled. There was something desperate in his voice, something unsettling. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You look just like her, you know, when she was your age." I stiffened. The way he said it, it wasn't just a casual observation. It was loaded, heavy, wrong. I stepped back, suddenly aware of how small the house felt, how close the walls seemed. Mason shifted nervously beside me. "We should go," he muttered. But David wasn't done. His eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my stomach twist. "You deserve the truth, and I'm the only one who can give it to you. Your mother isn't who you think she is. She's been hiding things from you. Terrible things." My voice was barely a whisper. "Like what?" His smile widened, thin and eerie. You'll see everything soon." David's words lingered in the air like smoke. Terrible things. I felt Mason shift beside me, uneasy. "Man, this is starting to sound messed up," he muttered under his breath. But I couldn't move, not yet. My chest was tight, my pulse hammering, but I needed to hear more. "What do you mean?" I asked. "What kind of things?" David set the photo back on the mantel with exaggerated care, then turned slowly toward me. "Your mother made sure you only ever knew one version of the story. Hers. The saintly, single mother who sacrificed everything for her child. But you don't know what she did before you were born. You don't know who she really is." My throat went dry. "Stop talking in riddles. Just tell me." He stepped closer, and I caught the faint scent of cigarette smoke on his clothes. His eyes were bloodshot, but sharp. "She wasn't always the sweet, perfect woman you think. Back then, she was reckless, dangerous. She ran with people you wouldn't believe. People who owed money, who made enemies. And when she got pregnant, she panicked." I shook my head. "You're lying. You're just trying to turn me against her." His voice hardened. "Am I? Think about it. Did she ever tell you why she cut me out completely? Did she ever tell you why she moved 3 towns over when you were a baby? Or why she never let you visit relatives on her side of the family?" I froze. He wasn't wrong. I had noticed the gaps. Mom always avoided talking about her family. She claimed they were toxic, that I didn't need them. And we had moved around a lot when I was little, more than I realized until that moment. Mason gave me a nervous glance. "Dude, don't listen to this guy. He's twisting things." But doubt had already wormed its way in. My voice was quieter now. "So what are you saying? That my mom... what? Did something bad? Got in trouble?" David smiled faintly, and the sight of it made my stomach twist. "I'm saying your mother wasn't some innocent victim. She wasn't forced to raise you alone. She chose it. Because it was easier than letting the truth catch up to her." I wanted to argue, but his words hit too many nerves. Then David leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Do you know why I kept those photos? Why I stayed close all these years? Because I knew one day you'd start asking questions. And when you did, I wanted to be here with the answers." A chill went through me. The way he said it, like he'd been waiting for this moment. I swallowed hard. "What exactly are you accusing my mom of?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked over to a cabinet in the corner. He pulled out a shoebox and set it on the coffee table. With deliberate movements, he opened it. Inside were more photos. Not just of me, but of my mom. Younger. Smiling, laughing, posing with people I didn't recognize. Some looked like mugshots. Others like party photos with strangers whose faces were blurred by time and cheap cameras. My stomach clenched. "Where did you get these?" David's expression was unreadable. "She gave them to me, back when we were together, before she reinvented herself." I picked up one photo. My mom couldn't have been older than 20. Her arm was slung around a man with a snake tattoo curling up his neck. She was grinning, a wild look in her eyes. Not the calm, careful mom I knew. David tapped the edge of the box. "That's the real her, the part she hid from you." I dropped the photo like it burned. Even if that's true, it doesn't explain why you have my pictures. Why you stalked me my whole life. For the first time, his smile faltered. "Because I couldn't let her erase me. I wanted to be there, even if she wouldn't let me. I wanted to watch you grow. To see who you became." There was something desperate in his voice, almost pleading. But it didn't make me feel better. It made me feel hunted. Mason tugged at my sleeve. "We need to leave, now." And he was right. The walls felt too close. The air too heavy. I turned toward the door, my head spinning. But David's voice stopped me cold. "She told you I didn't want you, didn't she? That I abandoned you." I froze. "That's the story she fed you. But the truth?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "She begged me to disappear. Because if I didn't, people would find out the kind of woman she really was. And she couldn't risk losing you to me, or to anyone else." The room tilted. I couldn't breathe. Mason grabbed my arm. "Bro, let's go." We stumbled out of the house and back to the car. My hands shook as I fumbled with the keys. David stayed in the doorway, watching us drive away, his silhouette framed in the dim light. The silence in the car was suffocating. Mason finally spoke. "You can't actually believe him, right? He's just some bitter guy your mom dumped." But I couldn't shake the images in that shoebox. The look in David's eyes, the certainty in his voice. And when I got home, Mom was waiting in the kitchen. Her face lit up when she saw me, but her smile faded when she noticed my expression. "You went to see him," she said flatly. I didn't answer. She sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. I begged him to stay away. I begged him. "Why?" My voice cracked. "Why keep me from him if he wanted me? Why hide everything?" Tears slipped through her fingers. "Because he's dangerous. Because he twists everything. Because he'll make you doubt me." But I already did doubt her. My voice trembled. "He showed me pictures of you from before, with people I don't know. He said you weren't who you pretend to be." Her head snapped up, her eyes wide. For a split second, I saw fear. Real fear. "Those were mistakes," she whispered. "I was young. I was stupid. But I changed. I became your mother. That's all that matters." But it wasn't enough anymore. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded. "Why did I have to find out like this?" Her lips trembled. She didn't answer. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Every sound of the house felt foreign. Every shadow looked darker. I kept seeing David's face, his eyes when he said, "You'll see everything soon." And I realized whatever my mom was hiding wasn't in the past. It was still out there, and sooner or later, it was going to crash into my life. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw David's shoebox. The photos of Mom grinning with strangers, some with tattoos, some with that dangerous look in their eyes. My stomach churned every time I replayed his words. She begged me to disappear. By morning, I felt like I hadn't slept in weeks. At breakfast, Mom tried to act normal, placing toast in front of me like nothing had changed. But I noticed how her hands shook when she buttered her own slice. She didn't look me in the eye. Finally, I pushed my plate away. "We need to talk." Her shoulders stiffened. "About last night. About everything." For a long moment, she was silent. Then she sighed and sat down, her eyes red-rimmed. "I knew this day would come. I thought I'd have more time." The knot in my stomach tightened. "Your father, David, he wasn't always like this. When we met, I was young, reckless. He seemed exciting, different. I didn't know what he was into until it was too late." I swallowed hard. "What do you mean, what he was into?" She rubbed her temples. "Crime, drugs, running with people who had enemies. I thought I could save him. I thought if I loved him enough, he'd change." Her voice broke. "But then I got pregnant with you. And instead of changing, he got worse. He wanted to use you, to trap me, to keep me tied to him forever. That's why I left. That's why I told him to stay away." The words should have made me feel safer. But instead, they opened a deeper pit in my stomach. Because no matter what Mom said, there was still a part of me that remembered the look in David's eyes, the pain in his voice. I stared at her. "So he's lying? About everything?" Her lips trembled. "He twists the truth until it looks real. That's what he does. That's why you have to promise me. Don't go back there. Don't talk to him again." But I couldn't promise that. Because something didn't add up. For the next week, I tried to go on with my life. School. Work. Pretending nothing had changed. But everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. Like someone was watching. Sometimes, I'd catch sight of a car parked too long near the house. Or a figure standing at the edge of the streetlight at night. Each time, my chest clenched. Mason noticed my paranoia. "Dude, you're spiraling. You've got to let this go." But I couldn't. One night, I found myself driving back to David's house. The shoebox haunted me. I needed answers Mom wouldn't give. He opened the door like he'd been waiting for me. "I knew you'd come back," he said softly. I stepped inside, my hands clammy. "I want the truth, all of it. No riddles, no half-stories. Just tell me." He studied me for a long time, then nodded. "All right, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it." He led me to the table where the shoebox still sat. From underneath it, he pulled out another folder. Inside were documents, old police reports, mugshots, even newspaper clippings. My blood ran cold. One article was about a drug bust from 20 years ago. I scanned the names, my eyes catching on one, my mother's. My knees went weak. David watched my face carefully. She wasn't just with the wrong crowd. She was part of it. She cut a deal. Testified against people she ran with. That's why she changed her name. That's why she ran. To keep you safe from the people she betrayed. I shook my head, but the papers were right there in front of me. Her name, printed in black and white. "She told me she was protecting you from me," David continued. "But the truth? She was protecting herself. She didn't want you to know she wasn't a victim. She was a traitor." My hands trembled as I flipped through the clippings. Every word felt like a knife. "She made me into the villain so she could play the saint. But you deserve to know, don't you? You deserve the truth." My vision blurred with tears. I stumbled out of his house, clutching the folder. When I confronted Mom, she broke. Her face crumpled when she saw the papers in my hands. "Where did you get those?" she whispered. "Is it true?" My voice cracked. "Were you part of it?" She sank into a chair, tears spilling freely now. "Yes, I was young, stupid. I thought it was just parties, excitement. But then I realized what they were doing. People were getting hurt. And I testified. It was the only way to survive." Her hands shook. "I never wanted you to know. I thought if I built a new life, I could keep you safe. But I knew one day it would catch up. I couldn't breathe. My world tilted. You lied to me my whole life, I whispered. I did it for you, she said, reaching for me. But I stepped back. Her hand fell. The silence between us was louder than anything I'd ever heard. That night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the folder. My phone buzzed with a new message. From an unknown number. It was a photo of me, taken earlier that day, outside school. Then another, of Mom, standing at the kitchen window. The caption made my blood run cold. The past always finds its way home. I dropped the phone, my hands shaking uncontrollably, because now I understood David wasn't the only one watching. And whatever my mother had tried to bury was coming for us both.